As we get into September, let's finish strong. Still time to make some moves in the waiver wire and improve your team, especially with how hot some of these players have been lately. And naturally, this time of year, you start to see some rookies come on. Got a couple of them. Let's start with the hitters. And the first name that jumps out is Pete Crow Armstrong of the Cubs. How's this for some impressive box scores? 3 for 5 with 3 steals, 4 for 4 with 4 runs scored. 2 for 4 with a home run and 3 RBIs. Yeah, those are things that he's done just this past week. Now, he's been giving speed ever since he became a regular in the lineup. He's got 26 steals on the season. That alone makes him fantasy relevant. But if you look, that batting average on the year is only 233. But again, let's forget that. What has he done since the All-Star break? Much better. He's hitting 274, and it continues to climb because he's been red hot this whole week, and now even flexing a little bit of power. Now, PCA is going to be in there constantly because he's an elite defender. His fielding metrics are excellent. Doesn't help you in fantasy, but it's going to help to keep him in center field. And now that the bat is hot, you just have to pick him up. You get the speed. He's scoring runs. And Chicago now, I guess better late than never, is finally showing some signs of life offensively. And then you'd think that the top prospect or number 2 prospect, I get it mixed up, but Junior Caminero at one time was the number 1 prospect. Now I guess he's number 2 behind Holiday, who has already exceeded. Look, okay, Junior Caminero should be owned everywhere, but for some reason he's not. 55% rostered in Yahoo leagues, only 23% in ESPN. I know a lot of teams just kind of fall out of it, this time of year. Maybe they're just not contenders or whatever. But there's still some leagues where he is available, and there's no excuse for that. Now, prospect pedigree alone doesn't make somebody fantasy relevant, but we're finally starting to see the power come around. The home runs, they are here. He's got 2 of them in the past week, and that slash line is getting pretty better. Look, very limited time so far in the majors, but he's slashing 278, 339, 463. It's not a great Rays offense. We know that this team is pretty much done for, but he's batting third. He can still drive in some runs. And again, we're just waiting for the power to show up. It finally has. So really, even if you don't want him to be your everyday third baseman, because maybe the counting stats aren't going to be as good as somebody you already have, at least keep him on your bench. He's got that power upside and just should continue to get better down the stretch. All right, now we're going to spend some time, maybe a little too much time in Oakland. Might as well, at least as long as the A's are technically still there. How about their number 1 prospect? You remember Jacob Wilson? Well, he was up for a hot minute, and it was literally almost just a minute because after his very first at-bat, being called up, he pulled his hamstring and has been on the shelf ever since. But he has now gotten recalled, a very short rehab stint, and just like that, he's back in the lineup. Now, unlike Caminero, you might not get a lot of power with Wilson, a little bit of speed, but really the main thing you're going to get here is average. Reminder, this is a player who in the minor leagues across AA, AAA, this year was hitting 433. That's right, 433 batting average, and that was across 208 at-bats combined. Now, I would like to see him hitting higher than 9th in that lineup, but look, if he can get on base, he will score runs because ahead of him on the leadoff spot there is a guy who is suddenly hot again, and that at least gives him some upside. Batting average, runs scored, not bad if you can just throw in your middle infield spot at this point of the season. And the guy I'm talking about at the leadoff spot is Lawrence Butler, who I may have given up on just a little too soon. Made the mistake of dropping him in one league because I thought he was finally cooling off right after being so hot to start the second half, and that was a mistake. So he is back to raking. He's got a 7-game hit streak. That includes a 3 home run game just the other day, and 5 home runs just in the past 3 games, and 6 in the past week. So yeah, I'd say he's pretty hot. And he's also scoring runs and will steal the occasional base. So look, I wasn't the only one here. Lawrence Butler did see his ownership drop a little bit. He's still available in a third of all Yahoo leagues. So if somebody like me made the mistake of dropping him too soon, you go ahead and you scoop him back up. And why not continue with an ex-Oakland A? Well, Ramon Laureano is now in Atlanta, and he's become the everyday right fielder because he has gotten hot all of a sudden. Look, didn't get off to a great start with the Braves, but now he's picking it up. He's hitting really better than he ever has. This is a player who's always had some power, used to have a little bit of speed upside. Well, he's not stealing bases anymore, but he's hitting for average in a way that he really hasn't before. In the month of August, hitting 347, 5 home runs, 10 RBIs, and the best of that has come just in the past week. Look, this Braves lineup is nothing near like what it was early in the season, last season. It's still respectable. Laureano is a part of it. He's got some appeal here. I don't know exactly for how long he's going to keep this going, but again, he seems like he's really taken to reviving his career now after being let go by Cleveland early this season. And now let's talk about a slew of young pitchers that really deserve more respect and attention in fantasy. Look at some competitive leagues. These guys are not available, but they're still available in way too many spots. And I can't keep talking enough about Spencer Arrighetti. I don't understand how he's only 54% rostered and only 25% in ESPN. I mean, do people even pay attention there? Now, again, if you're just very casual about checking the wire once in a while and you look and you see, well, he's got a 4.63 ERA, 1.3 whip, that's not good. Okay, let's check just what he has done in the second half, which now has been quite a while. If you dive into the important stats, not just ERA, but how about Sierra, which is skill independent ERA, really takes a truer picture of how a pitcher is performing. Let's look at the second half leaders among qualified starters. You see Arrighetti firmly up there along with some of the elite pitchers in the game. And yeah, been better than Paul Skeens as well. And in fact, you look at his strikeout rate, even better than Paul Skeens. So some guys get more publicity, but Arrighetti has been more effective. And if he didn't already have your attention, he should now, especially coming off a dominant start against the Philadelphia Phillies, where he went 7 2/3, only gave up 2 hits, no runs, and he struck out 11. At this point, I don't care if it's a 10 team, maybe even an 8 team league. If Arrighetti is out there, it's criminal. And if you looked at that Sierra chart among the best pitchers in the second half, well, you might have noticed another surprising name, Ryan Nelson of the Arizona Diamondbacks. Not a rookie, but a young pitcher, guy who's been very uneven, to put it kindly, in his time in the majors. Some ups and some downs. Look, it's been hard to trust a guy like Nelson so far, but I think we got to buy in now because he's been pretty much dominant in August. Since the All-Star break, not just one of the top 10 in Sierra, as I pointed out earlier, but a 2.91 actual ERA. That's pretty good. And he's just on a roll lately. His last 4 starts, he's gone at least 6 innings each time, and he's given up 2 earned runs or less each time. In the month of August, 33 strikeouts, only 4 walks. That was always the bugaboo with him, is the walks, the lack of command. It's always the thing with any young pitcher. It looks like he's figured it out. And look, he's still going to get opportunities to win on a pretty good contending Arizona team. And Nelson, again, there's really no excuse for him to be less than half rostered across fantasy leagues at this point. And then a smaller sample size, but I've already talked up Zebby Matthews a couple of times. Let me do it again because this is the perfect time to pick him up. In each of his first 3 starts in the majors, got exactly 5 innings. He's given up a total of 5 runs, which gives him a perfectly even 3.00 ERA with an even 1.00 whip. And that's the main thing I keep talking about is his command. He does not walk batters, get himself into trouble. 13 Ks, only 2 walks since being called up. So while he's not going that deep into games yet, he could still pull out a win for you, at least if he goes 5 frames. But again, this is the perfect time to go in on him because if you look at this upcoming schedule for the Twins, it almost can't possibly get better. His next start should be against the Toronto Blue Jays. That's a rebuilding team. After that, he gets Tampa Bay. We already talked about that offense. And then he gets the Angels. This schedule is so good. I actually might go out and start streaming pitchers like David Festa, fellow rookie prospect here. Maybe even Simeon Woods Richardson. I'm going to be in on all this Twins rotation for the next couple of weeks. If you're still looking for help at saves or just a reliever with some upside, well, I think we definitely need to buy into Michael Kopech. If he's still out there, seems like he might be available in some leagues. I understand the hesitation. I was really going to try to wait and see before I just went, full in on him in terms of fantasy. It might be too late now, but oh well. Look, a lot of your leagues, he is out there because he hasn't racked up a ton of saves since going to LA, but he's got 4 so far. More so than that, even if he isn't the only closer there for the rest of the season, he's just been really good. In fact, let's take a look here, see if you can figure out exactly when during the season he realized he was going to get to leave the White Sox. Okay, so it wasn't just exactly at the trade deadline, but look, the weeks leading up to the trade deadline, the end of July, I guess he got some sort of motivation. He figured something out. He started to really kind of clamp down. He did not walk batters. That was always his big issue. Just could be wild at times, even though he always had great swing and miss stuff. Since becoming a Dodger in 13 games, he's only given up 1 run, 19 strikeouts, and only 3 walks. For him, that's borderline amazing. Kopech has always had the arm talent, just waiting for that command to really, really find itself. And it has. Being a Dodger has been a miracle for him. I mean, we just have to believe. And then on the more, shall we say, desperate side of things, you need saves. Let's go for the Marlins' new closer, Calvin Foucher. He's got 4 saves in the second half, all coming in August so far. The ratio's not quite as nice here. Not bad, 3.44 ERA on the season, 1.45 whip. That's the ugly part here, and that's because he definitely has not harnessed his control for sure. 25.5% K rate, that's pretty good. 10.9% walk rate, not good. But look, you're not chasing help in ratios if you're going for Foucher. You're just looking for the odd save here and there. There won't be a lot, but again, desperate times sometimes call for desperate measures. Foucher could improve as the season goes on, could still get you some saves. So there's that. And then, I don't often like to repeat player from one week to the next. That's why I won't always talk about guys. I think it goes without saying, like Spencer Torkelson is someone who's a strong ad, but I already talked about him a week ago. But I do have to come back now on the pitching side and mention again, why is Cody Bradford not pretty much universally owned here? What else do we need to see from him at this point? On the season, he's got a whip under 1 since coming back from the injured list and becoming a starter again for the Rangers. He's in his last 4 starts allowed 2 runs total, a total of 2 runs over his last 4 starts combined. And in his very next start, he's going to get Oakland. If you don't go out and pick him up now, then I don't know what you're even doing watching this. I do know that you should keep making moves, be active on the waiver wire, and of course, keep trying to beat the breakout and stash some players. I just talked about Caden Dana 2 days ago, and already he's gotten the call. If you stashed him, you were ahead of the game. Check out Beat the Breakout, see who else I talked about.